Namaste and welcome to Pramanik Astrology channel. I'm your host Prasad Mahazani. Help you raise your vibrations and become your true self with the help of Vedic astrology. And those who are watching it live, welcome to this brand new episode. And today we are going to discuss about triggering of events and what houses and how houses gets activated. So can you please confirm the audio and video? Okay, are you able to hear me properly? Are you able to see me? Can you just please update A and V, those who are watching? AV, okay, yes, great. Okay, so whenever we are talking about triggering of any events, okay, so we are for this triggering of events, we'll be making it in different parts, and each part we'll cover it in a live session. Okay, so if you have to if you have to understand the formula for triggering of an event, first thing you have to find is the focal point of the transit. The focal point of the transit is where most of the planets are making an impact. Okay, we'll cover this with an example, and we will also see how things get activated, which houses get activated and how do they get activated. Okay, there are different ways we can look at the transits. We can use the nakshatra, we can use the house, we can use the karakas, and we can simply use the uh, placement of planets uh, through the transit for that ascendant. These are some of the ways to approach the transit. Okay, now today we are going to learn how to find the focal point of the chart with respect to the transits. Okay, what do I mean by the focal point? Let's get into this. Share my screen. Okay. Yes. So now this is the chart. Let me change it to right now. Yes, this is the chart for the right now. And you would see that this is the chart which is Taurus ascendant. And if you look at for any event to happen or any event to get manifested into this real world, we need to have the confirmation from the two big planets, that is that is Saturn, not Sun, Saturn and Jupiter. Jupiter, it takes almost a year to move from one Rashi to other. And for Saturn, it takes 2.5 years to move from one Rashi to the other. And it plays a significant role in the happening or non-happening, or the getting restrictions into that manifestation because of these two planets. And another one which is important is the planet Rahu. So basically we have to look for three transits: Rahu, Jupiter and Saturn. And now let's find out the focal point with respect to the transit. Okay, now if you look at this chart, you will see that this jupiter Jupiter is aspecting Jupiter has Jupiter has uh, special aspects through which it is aspecting this moon, or let's say this Jupiter in Aries is aspecting the sign of Leo and the sign of Sagittarius, along with the sign of Libra. Okay, so this Jupiter is aspecting Leo, Sagittarius, and Libra. Okay, now let's look at the Saturn. Saturn has a special aspect, and it aspects third from itself, seventh from itself, and the 10th from itself. So now this Saturn is aspecting the Jupiter, Leo, and Scorpio. Okay, and now let's look at the transit of the Rahu. Okay, Rahu is going through the sign of Pisces. Okay, now all the trines from the sign where Rahu is placed in, they gets activated. Like it impacts all the trine houses from itself, like 12, 4, and 8. Just like Jupiter, it activates the whole elemental trine, the triangle. Okay, in this case, Jupiter is Rahu is placed into the sign of uh, Pisces, which is water element sign. So now it is also activating the other two water element sign. Now if you look at this, now if you look at this, Jupiter and Saturn are aspecting the fifth house. Okay, both these planets. Okay, so I would call this as a focal point or a double transit focal point. And what it does is it becomes important for each lagna. Okay, so now when Jupiter is going through the sign of Aries and Saturn is going through the sign of Aquarius, the sign of Leo becomes important focal point. Okay, now what about this? So no matter what lagna you are going through, let me just make this as the Gemini ascendant. Still, the sign of Leo remains the focal point, and this will be the focal point until the transit of Saturn, like this transiting Saturn, has moved further or backwards, further through the transit or backwards through the retrograde motion. This focal point is not going to change. Or maybe when Jupiter right now is at the 16 degrees 10 minutes of Barney, maybe it goes to Taurus, then the focal point might change. Okay, but at this point, the sign of Leo is the focal point. Okay, and when I say the house of activation, when we change the ascendant, this Leo will be ruled, this Leo will be placed in some other houses. Like in the first example, we talked about the Taurus ascendant, where Jupiter was in the 12th house. Now, this we are taking it as a Gemini ascendant. Now, what with Gemini ascendant, what is happening here is Leo, the focal point which we have derived, is coming into the third house. So what it shows is where for for Gemini ascendant, the third house becomes important. The third house gets activated during this transit, along with all other houses. Like uh, wherever Saturn is placed in, Jupiter is placed in, the lords, they definitely get activated. But this is the sensitive point in the chart, for good or bad. If let's say we are looking at this chart, and let's say this person has Saturn or Sun debilitated. Okay, Sun will be debilitated only when we are into from the 15th of September, or after the 15th of September. Okay, September, October, somewhere around that time, Saturn, Sun gets into the sign of Libra. Okay, and now then this house becomes sensitive. Okay, so what we did first, we calculated, first we saw what is the common house, which is a sign, not even house, is getting aspected by two of the most important planets like Saturn and Jupiter. Then what we did, we are now changing the lagna. We discussed about the we discussed about the mm, Taurus, Gemini. Let's talk about Now let's talk about the Cancer. See, this Leo sign is in second house. Now this second house becomes important for this person. And now this is one way of looking at transits. And this is the most important way to look at the transits. So this, let's look at this. Now I'm just rotating it to, now I'm just rotating this to Aquarius ascendant. Why Aquarius ascendant? Because now we have focal point into the seventh house, right? So what it shows is now the relationship is the focus of this person. Okay, I'm just trying to teach you how this focal point works for different houses. So n- whoever is Aquarius ascendant, and when the Saturn came into that sign of Aquarius, and when Jupiter is in Aries, they will have something happening around their relationship. Why? Because Saturn and Jupiter both are aspecting the seventh house of this person. Now, whether this is good or bad, or what exactly might happen, depends upon all other conditions. When I say all other condition, first thing is the placement of the seventh house, seventh lord. Next thing is the after the lordship comes if it is involved into any kind of yogas, and then if there is any kind of a conjunction or any a kind of a mm, special yogas form like exchanges or any kind of uh, thing which uh, strengthens this house otherwise. Okay, and this is how these houses gets activated. First, we found the focal point. Focal point is nothing but a place irrespective of the houses, just taking into consideration the sign placement of the houses, not the houses, the sign placement of the planets at the particular time. Like in this example, I took this for right now, 23rd of 23rd Feb 11:30:50, and what it shows is the Leo is the sign which is having more aspect from all the big planets. Okay, and then right now in this example, this Leo is in the seventh house, so we'll talk about the relationship. Let's make Scorpio as an ascendant. So let's say if Scorpio is the ascendant, and if these two planets are going through, what it shows is you will have something happening around the sign of Leo, which is now coming into the 10th house. So the same transit is playing out differently for each individual. Okay, so this is the first layer of looking at how events are triggered. There are more layers to it, and what are those layers? The next layer is the dasha. When we combine the transit of the planets with the focal point, and when we will apply it to Vimshottari Dasha and one more Dasha, like a Yogini Dasha or Chara Dasha. Usually I use Chara Dasha or Chara Dasha and Vimshottari Dasha, and sometimes I use Yogini Dasha or Kala Chakra Dasha as well. But important is how this is triggering the event. Okay, now let's take another example. When this Rahu was in the sign of Aries along with this Jupiter, it was intense for this Leo, because now Saturn, Jupiter, and also Rahu are aspecting the same house. Okay, right now it's been little scattered because Rahu is aspecting Scorpio, Saturn is also aspecting Scorpio, and Jupiter and Saturn are aspecting Leo. So you have to note down these two houses, and then you have to look for all the ascendants and see what's happening in there. Which house is getting activated? Whether it's the 10th house, whether it's the 8th house, 6th house, 5th house, 7th house, and so on. And that will give you an idea about what are the events which can be triggered, which can get triggered into one's life, along with which are the houses which gets activated during this transit. Okay, in the next layer is the layer of dasha. We always have to add the dasha sequence along with transit. Whenever we just talk about transit and don't consider it dasha, we are making a huge mistake. Okay, never underestimate the power of Vimshottari Mahadasha. All the events will occur only at the time which is the Kala, and that's how the dashas are unfolded. That's when, and that's how these dashas get unfolded. Okay, so yes, if you have any question around this, or if you want to know more about this topic, please put your specific question to this to the comment section of this video. I'll be making one more video with your doubts, with your queries, and we'll try to answer all the queries and questions into that video. Okay, so yes, this was the Friday live session for activation of houses and triggering of events. I hope you have enjoyed this session. Please let me know this into the comment section. Sending you tons of positive energy, sending you high vibration. See you in the next video. Namaste.